The sermon this morning for Easter is called the Lampedusa Cross and New Life. In the name of the risen Christ, Amen. While I was researching and pondering this Easter message, I came across an article about Lampedusa Cross. I don't have a picture of it as there are some copyright issues to deal with, but if you have a tablet or a phone or a computer, search for it and you'll have a chance to see the image. Or if you don't have a device, maybe a family member does, who can show you the cross. The cross is made from pieces of a boat that was wrecked on the 11th of October 2013 off the coast of Lampedusa. Where is Lampedusa? Well, it's a large island of the Italian Pelagi Islands in the Mediterranean Sea. The commune of Lampedusa and Liosa is part of the Sicilian province of Argentino, which also includes the smaller islands of Linosa and Lampucine. It is the southernmost part of Italy and Italy's southernmost island. Tunisia, which is about 113 kilometres away, is the closest landfall to the islands. Sicily is the farthest at 205 kilometres, whilst the island's nation of Malta is 176 kilometres to the east. Lampedusa has an area of 20.2 square kilometres and a population of about 6,000 people. Its main industries are fishing, agriculture and tourism. Now let's go back to the cross. 311 Eritreans and Somali refugees were drowned en route from Libya to Europe that 11th day of October in 2013. The inhabitants of Lampedusa helped to save the lives of 155 others. After meeting some of the survivors, who were Christians, in the church of Lampedusa, Mr. Tuccio, the island's carpenter, was moved by their plight, but felt frustrated that he could not make a difference to their situation. The best he could do was to use his skills as a carpenter to fashion each of them a cross from the wreckage of the boat as a reflection of their salvation from the sea and for the future. A similar cross was made for Pope Francis, who carried it at a memorial service for those who had perished. Mr. Tucco kindly made a cross for the British Museum to mark an extraordinary moment in European history and the fate of those Christians. It also stands witness to the kindness of the people of the small island of Lampedusa, who have done what they could and can for the refugees and migrants who arrived on their shores. I will say more about this later in the sermon. The claim that Jesus rose from the dead is the key to our faith, but it also, in many respects, is one of the most difficult pieces of the gospel story. Even the disciples had a hard time with getting their heads around the resurrection to start with. Even Mary, although having said this, she was a faster learner, and with her eyes open, she was able to proclaim he had risen from the dead. But what does it mean to claim that Jesus' dead body has emerged alive from the tomb? It was no resuscitation. He was crucified, died, and was buried, and he was raised. With the first witnesses struggling with the idea of resurrection because they were expecting him dead. In John 20, verses 2, we are told, "They have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we do not know where they have laid him." This is Mary speaking in panic about Jesus' missing body. In Luke 24 verse 5, we are told, "Why do you seek the living among the dead?" This is an angel speaking, pointing to them away from earthly mindsets to spiritual ones. In Matthew 28, we are told, "He is not here, for he has risen." Again, an angel speaking, proclaiming the resurrection in which the disciples were struggling to get their heads around. These remarks about the empty tomb and no Jesus and the question says a lot about where those remarking or asking the question were at. But before we can move to a new life in Christ, it is important to stand in the empty tomb. How do we come to our empty tomb? With confessions about how we feel about failing ourselves and our neighbours? Do we come with sorrow and anxiety? Maybe we stand in the empty tomb stripped of dignity, deserted, murdered, raped, fighting for life before drowning, and death awaits, seeing our death tomb, the sea off the coast of Lampedusa. Or maybe the empty tomb is about our emptiness as we remember how we have treated our own family, our parents, our siblings, our friends and neighbours, the starving in the world and those in war zones with nothing to cling to life. Or maybe it's the forgotten oppressed ones we've pushed aside, the ones we've left out. Or maybe it's when we search ourselves and find cold hypocrisy, pain, guilt, loneliness, depression and frustration. At the empty tomb, we also receive our healing. Jesus Christ was raised from the dead so that our wounds can be healed. He has risen to forgive and renew us all. The early dawn, the rising sun, the empty tomb is a day of light, just as the first day of creation. The resurrection is also about new creation. God's victory over death is our victory too. A new day is dawn, death is put to flight, and no power, but instead we are alive in and through salvation in Jesus Christ and for eternity. The cross on which Jesus died, the death of a criminal, only a couple of centuries after his death, was soon becoming the symbol of hope. At the empty tomb, we have the dawn of a new day, where God's presence is the light that will shine and illumine the darkest of places. The love of Jesus is a self-giving love, never before encountered, and so via this love we are part of the new creation and are offered the Easter light as a path of love to walk on. The crosses made by Mr. Tuchel could not bring the dead back from drowning, but what they did do was put into action with love and respect and dignity. In Revelations 21, 1-7, behold, I make all things new. And the conviction Jesus had on the night before he died when he said to his disciples, I give you a new commandment that you love one another as I have loved you, so you should love one another. In a sense, Mr. Tuchel took these words and turned them into these crosses that he shared with others. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and your neighbour as yourself. In these times of troubles at the moment and turmoil, these are words that we should be praying regularly. The love Jesus showed is a self-giving love too, and we too show that same love, not because of whom our neighbour might be, but because of whom we and our neighbour are in the sight of God. People of God, he is not here, the tomb is empty, and that's fantastic news. He has risen indeed. Amen. We were then going to have a solo of the song, the Galilean song, and most of you would know that. So I'll just read the words to you. Deep within my heart I feel voices whispering to me, words that I can't understand, meanings I can't clearly hear. Calling me to follow close, lest I leave myself behind. Calling me to walk into evening's shadows one more time. So I leave my boats behind, leave them on familiar shores, set my heart upon the deep, follow you again, my friend. In my memories I know how you send familiar rains, falling gently on my days, dancing patterns on my pain. And I need to learn once more in the fortress of my mind, to believe in falling rain as I travel deserts dry. As I gaze into the night, down the future of my years, I'm not sure I want to walk past horizons that I know, but I feel my spirit called like a stirring deep within, restless till I live again, beyond the fears that close me in. So I leave my boats behind, leave them on familiar shores, set my heart upon the deep, follow you again, my friend. Amen.